and we all know this. One of the things that I'm most concerned about, and Secretary, when we were visiting, is enrollment and retention, and particularly the recruitment, because the civilian sector can pay so much more. But much like our CIA, as we mentioned, that they can, the folks that want to serve do so because it's such a gratifying and significant contribution you can make to the Republic. And so is this, incidentally. So wanted to touch on, if you could, for the record, what's the rough breakdown between military or uniform members as opposed to civilian? Because I just want talented folks. And it might be easy for us to recruit talented folks that aren't in uniform because they might just have a little bit, longer hair, they might have some tats, whatever, I don't care. If they can hit those computer keys in a very adroit fashion, we need to recruit them and bring them in and keep them.
Congressman, thanks for the question, and really appreciate our discussion last week. As you mentioned, this is a fundamental problem that we need to look at. And today, it varies by service, but it's approximately 80 to 90% uniformed within our cyber mission force. As we look at Cyber Command 2.0 going forward, one of the key pillars is how do we evaluate that balance so that, as you mentioned, we can bring in a wider pool of talent from civilians, from contractors, and then we also need to look at how we're going to leverage industry, because there is tremendous innovation and talent in industry, and we're going to have to figure out how we can leverage that through different mechanisms. So that is something that we are going to continue to focus on and need to be pretty aggressive going forward to make sure we have the talent that we need.
I would just say aggressively recruit, and we also need to let these young people know that if you come and you serve for even 4 or 5 years, you don't have to go career and then go out into the civilian workforce. I think it's going to add tremendous value to their resumes. I think the ranking member, in the previous life he led, could attest to that as well.
Absolutely. One of the, I think, most compelling things to recruiting and retaining our force is our mission, and the things that we allow our really talented service members and civilians to do. One of the things we need to work harder at is allowing them to keep on keyboard and stay on mission. Mm-hmm. And then, as you mentioned, the experiences that they gain for that will be highly valuable, both in other roles in the government and in the private sector. So how do we leverage that throughout their life?
And Secretary, you also mentioned that, and I got the quote here, that the current force is insufficiently scaled for the threat environment. And then I see the administration's FY27 budget request for CyberCon really doesn't reflect that urgency or its sourcing. So what I want to ask is, what is the delta between CyberCom 2.0, the needs to execute, and what the president's budget request provides?
So one of the concepts of Cyber Command 2.0